Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. Now, my apologies for the non-standard format for today's first impression, but recent updates to Dishonored 2 has left the game defaulting to 4K resolution on my PC. Now, this would be fine if I had a 4K monitor, but unfortunately I do not, which leaves me with the unfortunate predicament of having to rely on footage of when I streamed the game on Twitch. But, as with everything else in life, the show indeed must go on. So Dishonored 2 starts you off sitting on the throne as Empress Emily Kaldwin, seeming to go about any other day. However, you're shortly interrupted by an unknown visitor sporting companions that look very much like the clockwork counterparts of General Grievous. Now, this strange visitor turns out to be Emily's estranged sister, who has decided that she wants to play Empress, and then launches a fairly bloody coup in the process with little to no preamble. And this coup launches you into the tutorial segments where you learn the basics of the game. Now here you do learn that the game does promote fairly significant differences in playstyles, ranging from extremely stealthy to going basically murder hobo on everyone you encounter. However, the game's AI enemies and their numbers are enough to severely dissuade a person from not taking the stealthier options. In addition to that, the game's controls, at least on their default settings, are mildly uncomfortable and slightly counterintuitive, which makes it more difficult to be effective in outright combat. Now, I've definitely seen better control schemes in other games, but the ability to rebind keys does actually improve that slightly. Now, the story continues on, fairly predictably, with you setting out as either Emily or her father to take revenge for the theft of your kingdom. Now, the game does also offer up some interesting plot holes at this point in the game in regards to this revenge within the first hour of gameplay. Well, I should say more interesting dichotomies than actual plot holes. Now, for example, the character Emily shows concern for her people in one scene and expresses worry over how they're being treated under her sister's brutal reign. Now, follow that by barely 10 minutes later, as she stated her willingness to burn the city to the ground along with its people in her quest for revenge. Now, while I did find this to be rather quite funny in general, it was this level of story writing that actually started to detract from the game after a little while. The graphics themselves are good, without being actually exceptional. Definitely not up to the standard of Battlefield 1 or Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It's still a definite graphical improvement over other recent Bethesda titles. The landscapes and areas in general are actually quite lovely and a joy to look at, as well as the environments themselves being well crafted without seeming to be overly cluttered. I actually found myself wanting to explore the maps more fully, which is actually a good thing as the game does have a large amount of secrets and hidden items. Also, exploration seems to be crucial in maintaining the upgrades to your equipment and demonic powers, but in that regard, there sometimes seems to be really too many objects and upgrades to find. In one early area, there were over 30 visible within the surrounding territory, which is a lot of exploration to do, and I would normally expect a slightly reduced amount of equipment to find, with actually an increase in the overall benefit to balance the two out, I think. Now, of course, we do have to talk about the performance, and while yes, I know the developers are extremely busy releasing patches in an attempt to avoid a repeat of Warner Bros.' failed Batman Arkham Knight PC release, this game still lacked what would be considered adequate levels of stability for many users. Sub 30 frames per second, along with numerous graphical errors, glitches, and crashes across the board. There didn't seem to be any common causal factor either, as AMD and Intel processors, as well as AMD and Nvidia GPUs, were affected universally. Now, this, of course, fueled a fire that nearly erupted into a blaze when Bethesda's initial response was for users to simply lower their graphics settings. Now, this followed on the wings of Bethesda's abhorrent decision to refuse to release review codes for the game, which left consumers unprepared and inadequately informed as to the state of the game at launch. But I did cover this more extensively in another video, and I really don't want to repeat myself here for you guys, so if you would like to view that, there will be a link to it at the end of this video. Needless to say, I did experience some random frame rate dips and several bugs, but nothing as severe as what other people were experiencing, except for the game's recent inexplicable decision to force 4K resolution on a 1080p monitor, which rendered the game unplayable for the purposes of this review. So, overall, as a first impression, I would rate Dishonored 2 at launch, bear in mind this is at launch, a 6 out of 10. A good-looking game with an interesting, albeit self-contradictory storyline. Also, having a good amount of playable content will give decent value for the money once the severe bugs and glitches have been patched. Virtually unplayable for many people at launch, the state of the game will definitely mar the title in many people's eyes. However, once it is patched up and more stable and in a better playable state, I would expect the game to reach an 8 out of 10 after it's patched. So, thanks for watching, guys. I understand this is an exceptionally unorthodox first impressions review of Dishonored 2, and I understand this definitely not being my standard format. This just happened to be because of the game's bugs themselves. So please don't forget to hit those like and share buttons down below, and if you're new to the channel, then please don't forget to subscribe. It really does help out a lot. Once again, I am SidAlpha, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, boys and girls. Thanks for checking my video out. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even that subscribe button. Trust me, it works really good. Don't forget to share with your friends, and if you're interested in following me on Twitter and Facebook, the links for that are in the description down below. I also have a Patreon if you're interested in helping to support the growth of my channel, and the link for that is down below as well. And once again, thanks for watching and supporting my channel, guys. I really appreciate it.